Why are these illegal children on a farm? You people never cared about that when you're smoking your toke from your cannabis retail store, which gives you your little rewards program and your high potency THC.
What? But hold on.
Oh, sorry.
This is what I find frustrating about your analysis. The upset over the way that the Trump administration has conducted themselves, you just want to blame like, oh, well, it's the liberals' fault. It's Biden's fault. It's Newsom's fault. It's Karen Bass's fault. Like, these are grown human beings who control all of the government. They have responsibility for their own decisions. You can't just always blame liberals for what the fuck they're doing.
One last piece of footage I wanted to get us to react to was a little bit of a spicy debate from Krystal Ball and Saagar Enjeti. Saagar just humiliating himself, showing his ass here. He starts bitching about weed. He starts pretending that he is deeply concerned with the exploitation of minors and pot farms, and that's why he supports ICE raids in California. It's just a bunch of fucking cope. But Krystal does a good job cooking the shit out of him. I figured we could react to a few minutes of this before we move on to super duper chats.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. I haven't seen it yet, and Saagar definitely really does have like marijuana derangement syndrome. I've never seen someone so opinionated about cannabis. I'm like, how much do you even know about fucking weed, bro? Have you ever smoked weed? Like, just Saagar, has he ever smoked weed? Maybe, I bet he smoked weed one time in like fucking junior year and got way too fucking high. Way too high. His friend Fry, was playing a prank and gave him a fat dab hit for his first ever
Created
experience.
a monster.
Yeah. And then Saagar is just like, and then he thinks that's what just being high is every time you smoke any amount of weed.
Yeah.
So he's like, how the fuck are people out there driving on the road? Like, of course, like this needs to be stopped. Like, I mean, that's the only explanation I can have, because clearly it's like, how much fucking do you even know about weed? How can you be making these outrageous statements about it when clearly it's not like you're actually part of like that culture? You might know how it smells. But like, really, do you have that many insights into the experience of being high?
Probably almost zero. Yeah, it's so pathetic. It's a very reefer madness coded. It's like old school conservatism in a way that's not really even in fad anymore. So it is strange that he's so married to it, but it's an authentic, deeply held belief of his. Speak of the devil.
Devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce.
Speak of the devil's lettuce.
Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Or not having their papers to prove their citizenship. And then the other thing I would say, so it's not just undocumented immigrants who would be impacted and eligible potential for relief. You also have a mass sort of societal tumult in LA that has been likely very impactful in terms of their economy. And you have a lot of mixed status families. So if you have U.S. citizen, this is very common, U.S. citizen kids, undocumented parents, they're unable to go to work because they're afraid of getting picked up by ICE. Now you've got a situation where the whole family is going to be evicted. And what happens if they're evicted? Well, then you have more of a burden on social services. You have more of a burden on shelters. So, I think there's a sense that, well, if we can keep them in their apartments, that actually could save money for the city long term, because then we're not having this increased burden on our social services.
This is kind of like reducing it, though, a little bit, where, like, at the end of the day, I think this is kind of how you get here, where you have a system that's architected literally for illegal labor, and you have an entire city of Los Angeles where, I mean, look, let's be honest, like, if we have to declare a state of emergency because illegals can't come to work, what does that tell you about the economy of one of the richest places in the United States? And this is the part where, a lot of these leftists and liberals, they just never grapple with this. Like, should we really have a city of effective slave labor so that you can have your villa where you get a DoorDash $25 burrito delivered to you by...
Didn't he go to high school in like fucking Dubai?
I honestly don't know.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm almost positive Saagar went to school in like Dubai or some shit, which is a society that's 100% predicated on essentially slave labor.
Also, it's like, bro, the people on the left are the ones that are most concerned about like DoorDash drivers and their rights and stuff. Like, what was the whole like Prop 22 or whatever the fuck? Remember we had Vina Dubal on, and there was a huge war to
classify them as workers instead of contracted. 100%.
Right. And because of the fact that the left lost and the corporate right won, now like really the only people that are fucking DoorDash drivers are a bunch of like fucking undocumented immigrants that have no other option because the pay is so shitty that no American will fucking take the job. And I've experienced that myself. The few times I've ordered like DoorDash over the last couple of years, it's been like some dude that doesn't speak English that'll show up to my door and like calls me and like is like, I'm at the, like, he can barely communicate where he's at and I'll have to come. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the truth. That is the truth. He's not wrong about that, but it's not the fucking left's fault. Like, we're not the ones that are in favor of corporations exploiting workers and only hiring people that'll take shit wages. Like, that's literally not the case. We're trying to make it easier for people to legally immigrate and people that are already here to get citizenship so they can't be exploited by fucking corporations. But no one on the left is in favor of corporations exploiting undocumented people. That's crazy. To the extent that that is happening, I'm 100% against it. But I also think it's the employers and the corporations that should be penalized, not the innocent people that are trying to feed their fucking families.
100%.
Illegal immigrant. I mean, remember we argued about this on a farm. They were like, "Oh, children have been swept up in farm." Why are children on farms? Why are these illegal children on a farm? You people never cared about that when you're smoking your toke from your cannabis retail store, which gives you your little rewards program and your high potency THC when you're ordering.
A way to bring it back to weed, Saagar.
It was at a weed farm. Krystal, it was at a weed farm. I didn't just shoehorn it in there.
So let me just say that you know, this is, we've had these debates many times. That's why I believe that people should be brought out of the shadows so they cannot be exploited. I think your concerns about, you know, the exploitation of undocumented labor are entirely justified. I just come down a very different place in terms of what the solution is. But I will also say, Saagar, that it has, like, and you know, we'll show some more clips here, but it is not just.
That's why Gestapo can stop you and search you for your papers, even if you're a U.S. citizen, because we've got a few minors that are working in weed farms. That's Saagar's solution.
Yeah, and again, like, say you actually, this is your number one issue, you think it's as big of a deal as Saagar does. Like, okay, the solution to that is to pass a law penalizing the exploitation of undocumented people. But that would penalize the corporations and the employers, not just going after innocent people, not just fucking rounding up people in the farmyard and shit. No, it's saying you have to pay everyone the same fucking wage. That's how you fucking deal with the problem. It's just insane to be like, oh, the only way we solve this is to mass kidnap, mass abduct innocent people, separate them from their fucking families and deport them to third world countries that they've never been to. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's wild.
Immigrants who are fearful right now. In fact, there are a lot of people even, you know, with legal status or who are, you know, going through the asylum process or who are green card holders. Like, no one is exempt from this. And so the fear and the disruption in their life and the potential inability to go to work, all of those things are not just with the undocumented community. It's far more widespread. And yes, LA is a city of immigrants. I mean, like I said, it was roughly a third of the population who are immigrants who are potentially impacted by this. And that Supreme Court decision that says you don't need any excuse to stop people other than them just like basically being brown, makes it so that the fear and the impact is much more widespread than it would otherwise be.
That's Nazi Germany type shit. Am I overreacting? What the hell? You have to keep your paperwork together because they think that you're too dark. It's literally the fucking Family Guy meme where they hold up the skin tone thing and it's like, oh, white, oh, a little dark, but you might be Italian. Oh, we got to double check because you might be Latino. Oh, you might have come here undocumented, which is crazy because no different than the border that we have to the north of us, right? Where a bunch of white people could be sneaking in. I think it was Jesse Ventura that was talking to us about this one time. He's like, they've never in my entire life talked about building a border wall between us and Canada. Why? Because they don't have brown people coming into the country from up there. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yep. Also, guys, I just took a toke of some illegally child picked cannabis products.
So, I'm gonna have to tax you and also try and hit that real quick.
Yeah, if our commentary just falls off a cliff, you know why. It's because we took a puff of the devil's lettuce. So everything we say from here on out, you know, take it with a grain of salt. We're high.
I'll grant you that. That's the cleanest hit that the left has got right now. And they're not wrong. But part of the reason I wanted to focus on that LA stuff is because I'm like, that's how you got here. Okay. You created a political system where for a lot of us, it feels like you have the entire liberal city focus is on criminals, making sure that they can get away with as much crime as possible, and on making sure illegals are apparently treated as everyday citizens. I'll give you a perfect example.
I don't fucking like that Saagar just calls them illegals. He called them illegal children. I'm like, dude, have some self-respect. That's a human being. I don't care if you don't like them. That's a child most of the time when you're talking about. Like, I just don't like that.
Oh, I totally agree. And you know, at least he doesn't call them illegal aliens, which is what like Tommy Lara and all these fucking racist pieces of shit call them. But yeah, this is some crazy shit from Saagar. Saagar will be so reasonable in one breath, and then in the next breath he'll sound like fucking like Glenn Beck on meth.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, what the fuck, bro? How did you just go from saying something so reasonable and critical of MAGA to just being like, all the left cares about is letting criminals do crime in an unlimited capacity?
Yeah, and this is just the beginning. Obviously, we don't have time to react to this whole like fucking massive debate that they get into, but we can keep playing a little bit more if you're down.
Here in Washington, D.C. You remember the whole big balls mugging, which justified the National Guard? Guess what happened to those 2 teens who mugged them?
Fucking based, man. Justice was served. Oh, Big Balls got his ass beat and we didn't throw the guys in prison. You ever heard of a fucking fight before, dude? Are you kidding me? Saagar wants you put in prison if you get in a fucking scrap? That's some pussy shit, bro.
Nothing. No jail time. Nothing going after him. The DC people just let him right out of there. That's how you get to the National Guard deployment. It's like
these regular guys with no priors. Oh, they got fucking probation for years. It's gonna be a huge bitch. Okay, it's not like it's a walk in the park to be on papers for years. All right, but he wants you thrown in a fucking jail cell because some kid talked shit and got hit. I mean, that's just another Tuesday where Gavin and I are from.
Have to grapple with failed governance and with priorities. You live in the richest city, well, literally one of the richest cities in the history of the world, where you have 10% of the people there who are there illegally. You have to tacitly admit that your skyrocketing price and everything is not capable without your slave labor from Guatemala. And then the only possible solution you come to is...
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be the woke bro. It's just fucking disgusting the way he talks about people from other countries. I mean, genuinely unnerving, right? As a dude who is also a descendant of immigrants, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he thinks he's better than these people because they came to America and searched for a better life without the appropriate paperwork. Do you hear yourself, dude?
Pathway to citizenship. That is why people freak out. People like me. I'll give you an example of who's the founder of Reddit. I think his name is Alexis.
I knew it would be something approaching. I mean, Trump talked about the insurrection, like invoking the Insurrection Act.
Yes.
But there is a balance that could be struck between, like, you know, ICE absolute terror reign in a variety of cities and targeting blue cities in particular, in blue states, because you don't like the politicians who are there.
That is where the vast majority of the illegals are.
Oh, in Portland? Really? They're all in Portland? Did you see the pictures, Saagar? It was a humiliation. It was a goddamn disgrace. It was pathetic.
Because they created sanctuary cities.
And total impunity for these guys who are assaulting, again, American citizens, right? Who are assaulting legal immigrants, who are racially profiling anyone who looks brown, running around in masks and terrorizing entire cities. Like, there is a way of doing some immigration enforcement that doesn't look like that.
Yeah, but we did have that.
But hold on.
Oh, sorry.
This is what I find frustrating about your analysis. I know.
Boom. She's getting pissed off too. I love that. Let's listen to that one more time. She checks this man. She says, "Don't you think you can push me over? Saagar. Mind your P's and Q's. Sit down and shut up for a second. I'm about to learn you."
Of doing some immigration enforcement that doesn't look like that.
Yeah, but we did have that.
But hold on.
Oh, sorry.
This is what I find frustrating about your analysis. I know how you feel about immigration, okay? But I feel that there is such a heightened level of, like, scrutiny and expectation on one side, and then a total lack of accountability. Like, the upset over the way that the Trump administration has conducted themselves, you just want to blame, like, oh, well, it's the liberals' fault. It's Biden's fault. It's Newsom's fault. It's Karen Bass's fault. Like, these are grown human beings who control all of the government. They have responsibility for their own decisions. You can't just always blame liberals for what the fuck they're doing.
I think that is entirely fair, but I would compare it to, are you capable of talking about illegal immigrant crime without contextualizing it in the broader picture? Not really. Like,
what do you mean?
Well, okay, so if I was like, if we talk about, let's say, the Lake and Riley case or any of that, every time we
Listen to how he had to set that up. Are you capable of talking about undocumented crime without contextualizing it as part of a broader picture? What the fuck does that even mean? That's her whole job. That's your whole job, Saagar. Why would you want to have a narrow, out of context conversation? That's so strange.
And he wants to bring up Lincoln Riley, or I'm like, oh, okay, you want to examine it in that context. Obviously, everyone can agree that fucking, yeah, that was, like, bad.
Murder's wrong.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Someone murdered someone. Yeah, obviously everyone's going to condemn that. But that doesn't change the fucking fact that, as a general statistical rule, undocumented people are actually significantly less likely to commit crimes, including violent crimes, than people like us who are fucking born here. and who don't have to worry about getting deported based on any and every minor or major infraction.
It always has to come back to, oh, but actually statistically it's a bigger picture and it's America's fault that they're coming from Guatemala anyway.
Yes!
And actually they commit less crimes than whites.
Oh, he doesn't want to hear the truth. He gets pissed off when anybody brings up evidence that would counteract his argument because he wants to create a narrow problem where it's all about Saagar's feelings. Wah, wah, wah. We also pointed out he lied when he said that California had the most undocumented people. It's most likely Texas or Florida. Okay. He just doesn't want to engage in reality because he wants to have a narrow and hateful argument.
That's why they're better citizens. Or
Here, you ready?
No.
Criminal illegal immigrants should be deported.
No,
Are you happy?
Of course, it's not about.
It's not hard to say, Saagar.
I know
you can
that.
say it. I can say it very directly.
I think
that is not what
yes.
these people are doing. They are doing the opposite of that.
What?
In fact, we have an element here later in the show. You know, the apartment building raid.
Yes.
They are claiming one Trinidad member. The vast majority of the people that are picking up have no criminal records. The amount of drug trafficking and human trafficking convictions are down. They are doing the opposite of going after undocumented criminals, illegal criminals, okay? So, like, if the goal is let's get out the bad people, they are completely failing at that.
I grant you that. I grant you that entirely. What I'm saying is about a political dynamic of which we were entered in. Now, you talked about that there's a middle way.
So anyway, those were the two times that I really wanted to get to in the beginning. Obviously, this is a much longer conversation that you guys can check out on the Breaking Points channel, but I liked it. Krystal was not having any of Saagar's shit. She wasn't letting him interrupt her at all. She was like, no, you let me fucking finish. She just completely dispelled his nonsense talking points. And what it really comes down to, for all people who are hard line on immigration, they are just racially motivated. He doesn't like that there are people coming from south of the border into our country for his own prejudice reasons, and he's going to obfuscate to any other talking point that he can find to try and give people a reason to be hateful towards them and to see a government crack down upon them.
Yep, 100%, 100%. And again, it's just crazy. He doesn't see these people as the victims. They're the victims of exploitation. Like, yeah, maybe they took a fucking American job or whatever, if you want to look at it that way. But they're getting exploited in the process. The only reason they, quote unquote, had the ability to take that job is because they were going to get paid less. That's them getting exploited. That's them being victimized by corporate CEOs who all they give a fuck about is profit, right? If someone is working in the fucking weed fields, like, you know, only getting paid $5 an hour, like, they're the victim. And the policy suggestion should be, again, that we penalize the companies that are doing that exploitation, not that we round them all up and abduct them and deport them to a third world country they've never been to. That's genuinely crazy. Then they're just further victimized. Then they're just even more the victim of this fucked up society. So again, there's ways to address these issues without directly making them the victims.
100%. Completely agree. And yeah, just again, more horse shit from Saagar, but I thought Krystal did a great job. So shout out to her. Make sure to check out Breaking Points. I know there's nobody that knows what our show is that doesn't know about Breaking Points, but I feel it's polite to say that anyway.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. Be there.